have a new hero, I gotta tell you right that. Theo Fleury, is that how you say it?
Theo Fleury.
5'5" and 150-pound Theo Fleury was hockey's little...
Hold on, 5'5"? Is he the shortest NHL player ever? You know what I'm saying? We back on discovering new players, you know what I'm saying? Theo Fleury. I ain't never...
5'5" and 150-pound Theo Fleury was hockey's little giant.
Was he
a
like that,
high-octane,
though?
whirling dervish who thrilled fans and antagonized opponents. The smallest player in hockey, Fleury succeeded by playing the game on the edge, and he lived his life that way too. Fleury was ignored and even laughed at by NHL scouts. But against all odds, he built a Hall of Fame-worthy career. But while he was dazzling fans on the ice, away from the rink, Fleury's life was spinning out of control. Why was this pint-sized superstar so self-destructive and so full of rage? This is the remarkable story of Theo Fleury, his unlikely rise to stardom, his descent into a personal hell, and his search for freedom from the ghosts of the past.
Damn! Do we got another Guy Lafleur on our hands?
He was born on June 29, 1968 in Oxbow, Saskatchewan. According to Theo, his childhood was marked by constant turmoil.
My experience as a very young child was one of constantly living in fear. My dad was an alcoholic, my mom was a prescription pill addict, and my complete and entire existence in life was complete and utter chaos. Complete and utter chaos. And guess what? I was the most mature person in that situation.
Dang.
Always undersized and lacking stability at home, he turned to hockey as an outlet and soon became a legend in Russell, Saskatchewan. In fact, Fleury was so talented that the Russell community raised money to send him to the prestigious Andy Murray Hockey School in Brandon, Manitoba. It was there that Fleury was introduced to Graham James, a scout for the Winnipeg Warriors of the Western Junior Hockey League. James told the then...
Scout for the Hootie Who?
James, a scout for the Winnipeg Warriors of the Western Junior Hockey League. James told the then 5'2", 120-pound Fleury that he had the skill to play in the NHL despite his size. He promised to recruit him to play in the Junior Hockey League for the Warriors when he was old enough.
Man of the year.
Soon, James convinced the Fleurys to let 14-year-old Theo move to Winnipeg with him, and he promised to serve as Theo's caretaker. But unbeknownst to the young Theo and his parents, this arrangement may have accelerated Theo's hockey career, but in his words, it also cost him his soul.
And then, when I was 14 years old,
what happened,
over 2.5 year period of my life, I was raped 150 times.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Bro, I knew something was up with that nigga. Talk about some man of the year. I knew something was up with that nigga, bruh. I knew something was up with that nigga.
My goal was to get this far in Hollywood and still have a virgin asshole.
Bruh, I hate niggas like him, bruh. Niggas like him need a face.
Fatality.
Bruh. Man, that shit.
By my coach.
That's crazy.
What I was left to deal with was the aftermath of all of these traumatic experiences. And so I never slept for 27 years. Never slept. Never slept a wink. Because I was in a dark room where I couldn't see anything. And so every time I shut my eyes at night, I was in that dark room waiting for this man to force himself upon me.
Bro, that's crazy.
Fleury began his junior career in 1983-84 as a 15-year-old.
My thing is, did they know that? Like, did he say something at the time, or did he just like, fuck it?
With the St. James Canadians of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. And the next year, he moved to the Moose Jaw Warriors, now coached by James. Young, scared, and confused, he felt he had nowhere to turn. Such issues were rarely discussed in the 1980s. To cope with the trauma, the 16-year-old Fleury began to consume alcohol. And according to Theo, quote, drinking became something I could not live without,
That's crazy,
like oxygen or hockey. Theo got some reprieve when James was forced out of his role in Moose Jaw and moved back to Winnipeg. The now 5'6", 150-pound Fleury improved his totals in each of his 4 years at WHL, culminating with a 68-goal, 92-assist season in 1987-88 to tie him for the league's scoring lead with Joe Sakic. That season, he also recorded 235 minutes of penalties while playing a feisty, physical game. Fleury's life got a lot more complicated during that 87-88 season when he fathered a son with his high school girlfriend, Shannon. At his final home game, the Warriors held a special night for Theo and eventually retired his number 9, where it hangs in the rafters today at the Mosaic Palace. But later in life, Fleury wondered how many of those honoring him knew about Graham James' misdeeds and said nothing. Fleury twice represented Canada in the World Junior Hockey Championships and is best remembered for being the catalyst for the punch-up in Piestany on January 4, 1987, an infamous bench-clearing brawl between the Canadians and the Soviet Union. The Canadians and the Soviets were thrown out of the 1987 tournament.
And the guy haven't cleaned at least, but damn, but get nothing. A year later, they win it all. Damn, they was fighting.
But a year later, the Canadian teens captured the gold medal, with Fleury serving as captain.
Fleury back to Rob Brown. Both Fleury and Rob Brown have scored 3 goals in the tournament. Joseph fakes the shot, but Fleury scores!
Now, Fleury?
Very patient.
That shit crazy, though, bro.
Goal right along the ice.
Despite his accomplishments as a junior, Fleury was ignored in the 12-round 1986 NHL entry draft. The harsh reality for Theo? Not one NHL scout, coach, or GM thought he could play in the NHL. To those in charge, he wasn't even worth a 12th-round draft pick.
Damn.
But the following year, Fleury caught the interest of Calgary scout Ian McKenzie, who was confident Fleury could be an NHL star despite his size. Over the protests of the other Flame scouts, GM Cliff Fletcher drafted Theo in the 8th round, 166 overall, in the 1987 NHL draft. Chief scout Al McNeil was so disgusted by the pick, he threw his pen across the table and screamed, quote, "We just drafted an effing jockey." Philadelphia Flyers management sat adjacent to the Flames table, and Flyers assistant GM Gary Darling howled with laughter when Fleury's name was called. That laughing didn't last long. Fleury amazed everyone at the 1987 Flames training camp before returning to Moose Jaw. Not only was he toying with veteran defensemen, he was a wrecking ball on skates. Upon completing his junior season in 1988, Fleury signed his first pro contract worth $415,000 and joined the Flames' International Hockey League affiliate, the Salt Lake City Golden Eagles. He scored 7 points in 2 regular season games and then 16 more in 8 playoff games as the Eagles won the Turner Cup Championship.
Damn.
Fleury arrived at the Flames' 1988 training camp 20 pounds overweight and was assigned back to Salt Lake to begin the 1988-89 season. He wasn't happy about it, but he dominated the league, recording 37 goals and 37 assists in just 40 games. Mired in a slump, the Flames recalled Fleury on January 1, 1989, and he notched 34 points in 36 games in his NHL rookie season. Centering a line with bruisers Tim Hunter and Brian McClellan, Fleury added 11 points in the playoffs as the Flames won their first Stanley Cup in franchise history.
This is the greatest day of my life, greatest day for my family. I love everybody in Canada. This is the greatest feeling. We're number 1, and they can't take that away from us.
Fleury was an instant fan favorite in Calgary, flying around the Saddle Dome ice, hitting everything in sight. And as his on-ice status increased, so did his off-ice activities. Fleury says, quote, "Money, fame, and chicks. I made the most of it. What was I going to do? Slow down? Stay home and watch TV every night?
Nah.
Forget it." After scoring 33 goals in his first full season in 1989-90, Fleury broke out in 1991, scoring 51 goals and 104 points while representing the Flames at the 1991 NHL All-Star Game. Playing the right wing on a line centered by Doug Gilmour, he tied for the NHL's plus-minus lead with plus 48. His 50th goal on March 26, 1991 was particularly dramatic, as he could barely walk due to knee ligament damage. But he insisted on playing and scored 3 goals to reach the half-century mark.
As we mentioned earlier, both Fleury, well, here's Gilmour coming over the line, gets it over to Fleury, tapped it up and scores! There it is! 100 points, 50 goals!
Goes across to his line.
50 goals.
The puck gets knocked back and
20,132 are still on their feet. They're still giving an overwhelming
That's
ovation.
crazy.
The number 14,
He only 5'5".
That knee injury lingered through round one of the 1991 playoffs, but Fleury's Game 6 overtime winner versus the Edmonton Oilers is a goal for which he'll always be remembered.
What do you think?
Unbelievable. Wow. You know, I actually said to myself that shift that I was going to score, and I did. Wow. It's a great feeling.
Theo was chosen to play Team Canada in the 1991 Canada Cup, and he began the 1991-92 season with 25 goals through December. But when Doug Gilmour was traded away in January, the Flames and Fleury went into a funk. The glory days were over for this franchise, and they struggled over the next 8 seasons.
Damn.
Fleury carried the team, logging a pair of 100-point seasons and playing in 5 more NHL All-Star games. Far and away the Flames' most popular player, Fleury collected 830 points in 791 games in Calgary. Through it all, Fleury walked a tightrope. His off-ice troubles were escalating, and his anger continued to define his play. He says, quote, "That edge, that's the only thing that set me apart from every other little guy that ever tried to play in the NHL." The source of much of Fleury's anger would resurface in 1994. During the 1994 lockout, Fleury latched on with a team in Finland and was beloved by the fans there. When the lockout ended, Fleury returned to Calgary and received a phone call from Graham James.
Who that?
James was compiling an ownership group for a proposed junior team in Calgary and wanted Fleury to be the primary investor in a group that included WWF entertainer Bret the Hitman Hart, Joe Sakic, and Anders Hedberg. Fleury agreed to be the first investor at $125,000, and the Calgary Hitmen were born. Incredibly, Graham James had worked his way back into Fleury's life.
Oh, that's the dude that took him in and was trying to like...
After Theo revealed the vile details about James in 2009, Montreal Gazette columnist Pat Hickey blasted Fleury for choosing to be involved with James and the Hitmen, saying, quote, "Fleury has to answer for placing other youngsters in harm's way." Hickey then took it to another level when he labeled Fleury as, quote, "an enabler." Fleury explained the situation with James this way, quote, "It's kind of like Stockholm Syndrome. It's weird how it all happened. You can still feel some sense of loyalty towards somebody, but that's the hold he had on me." Prior to the 1995-96 season, Fleury staged a brief holdout.
Hold on. So he didn't say nothing until 2009. Damn, it is tough because he could have been doing it to other kids and stuff like that, bro. Damn. So is he in jail, bro? Like, what the fuck? Like, where is he at now? Like, is he locked? He should be behind bars, man.
Fatality.
During training camp before signing a 5-year, $12 million deal with the Flames. That season, he was also diagnosed with Crohn's disease, a painful inflammatory bowel disease. Theo battled through the ailment while doctors searched for a way to control it. As captain of the Talent Challenge 1995-96 Flames, Fleury registered 96 points.
Damn.
And during that season, Boston Bruins forward and Fleury's close friend, Sheldon Kennedy, pressed charges against Graham James, saying he was taken advantage of by the manipulative coach as a teenager. Kennedy mentioned that there was another player who had been victimized, but he never named him. Rumors began to surface that that player was Theo Fleury. James was fired by the Hitmen, and eventually he was found guilty and sentenced to 3.5 years in prison.
3.5 years?
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man. How, Sway?
What the fuck was that?
3.5 years? That nigga should be 35 to life under the jailhouse. 103,000 consecutive years, man. What the fuck he just... So basically, Fleury knew what was going on, but his friend said, "Nigga, I was abused." He says he was a victim of hockey coach. As a teen and father figure who controlled his hockey career and his daily life from the time he was 14 to 19, he found himself unable to make friends, able to trust him. Dang. So he was controlling their hockey career and taking advantage of them. Damn.
1995-96 Flames, Fleury registered 96 points.
Damn.
And during that season, Boston Bruins forward and Fleury's close friend, Sheldon Kennedy, pressed charges against Graham James, saying he was taken advantage of by the manipulative coach as a teenager. Kennedy mentioned that there was another player who had been victimized, but he never named him. Rumors began to surface that that player was Theo Fleury. James was fired by the hitman, and eventually he was found guilty and sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. The media hounded Fleury on a daily basis, asking if he was Kennedy's unnamed player. The pressure of keeping his dark secret drove Theo to escape even further into reckless behavior. Still, he continued to produce on the ice. On November 29th.
Damn, that is crazy, bro. He only got 3 years? The fuck? Bruh.
In 1997, Fleury scored his 315th career goal, breaking Joe Nieuwendyke's franchise record. The same day, he was named to Team Canada for the 1998 Winter Olympics in Nagano, Japan. The Canadians did not medal in the games, and for the first time, Fleury, who stayed clean prior to the tournament, noticed a decline in his overall play, explaining, quote, "You cannot drink and do then stop suddenly and not have it affect you." On February 19, 1999, he surpassed Al McGuinness as the Flames franchise scoring leader with his 823rd career point, and he held that record for 10 years until surpassed by Jerome Iginla in 2009. But later that month, the Flames, who had been struggling financially, were unable to sign Fleury to a new contract after he rejected their last offer of $16 million over 4 years. On February 28, 1999, he was traded to the Colorado Avalanche, who were poised to make a playoff run. Although it was expected, the trade nonetheless stunned fans in Calgary. Fleury delivered for the Avalanche, scoring 10 goals and adding 14 assists in 15 regular season games, and he added another 5 goals and 12 assists in 18 playoff games before the Avalanche were eliminated by the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Finals.
Nah, he was a little
The Avalanche
rocket.
chose not to re-sign Fleury, and he joined the New York Rangers on a 3-year contract worth $21 million, and that included a club option for a 4th year at $7 million. But for someone with Fleury's personal demons, New York City was a dangerous place to be. Fleury's first year in Manhattan was a disappointment. He scored only 15 goals in 1999-2000, and he struggled under the pressure of trying to lead the Rangers into the playoffs and adapting to life in New York. It also didn't help that he developed an obsession for gentlemen's clubs, which he considered to be a one-stop shopping for all of his vices. After the season, he voluntarily entered a league-operated program that treats dependency issues and emotional problems. Fleury rebounded to score 30 goals in 2000-2001 and participated in his 7th NHL All-Star game. Fleury was leading the Rangers and was 4th in the league with 74 points in 62 games when the Rangers announced that Fleury had again entered the league-mandated rehabilitation program. The decision ended his season. Surprisingly, Fleury was invited by general manager Wayne Gretzky to participate in Canada's selection camp for the 2002 Olympics. The invitation was controversial, as Theo's behavioral issues had become increasingly public in previous months. Fleury wanted to justify Gretzky's support, and he claims that he stayed clean for the first half of the 2001-2002 NHL season, later describing himself as dry drunk during this period. He earned a spot on the Olympic team and recorded 2 assists in 6 games as the Canadian hockey team won its first Olympic gold medal in 50 years. Fleury considers this championship to be the pinnacle of his career. And while Fleury stayed clean in his bid for the Olympics, he went all in on another habit, gambling. In this stretch alone, he squandered at least $3 million.
Gambling?
And when he returned to New York after the Olympics, his off-ice life returned to its previous destructive pattern.
I tried to take a bite out of the Big Apple, but it took a very large one out of me.
Donald Trump's helicopter would pick him up after games, take him to a casino where he gambled and partied all night, then take him back to New York in time for practice.
Nobody knew.
With obsessive gambling now combined with the return of his dependency issues, Fleury became unraveled on and off the ice.
He got a nigga chicken. Damn. Oh shit. Oh.
the season, the Rangers did not exercise their contract option with the team, despite a guilt-ridden Theo offering to play at a reduced rate. GM Glenn Sather didn't mince words when he told Theo's agent he couldn't afford to have the toxic Fleury on the team, even if he played for free. Despite all of these well-publicized issues and declining play, Fleury drew interest from multiple teams before ultimately signing a 2-year, $8.5 million contract with the Chicago Blackhawks, reuniting him with his favorite coach in Calgary, Brian Sutter. But 2 days prior to the opening of the 2002-03 season, he was suspended by the NHL for violating terms of the league's dependence recovery program.
What?
Fleury missed the first 2 months of the season before being reinstated. When he returned to the ice, Fleury's signature speed was long gone, as noted in this quote from an NHL scout. As in New York, he continued to be a terrible role model for his younger teammates. While out with his teammates in January 2003, Fleury was involved in a brawl with bouncers at a nightclub in Columbus, Ohio, that left him bloodied.
It is what it is.
He described it as among the lowest points of his life. He was placed on waivers in March, but no team claimed him. Fleury played his last NHL game on April 4, 2003, when his cheekbone was shattered by an errant puck, a mishap Fleury attributes to having poor reflexes due to playing with a severe hangover. He finished the season with the Blackhawks, scoring 12 goals, adding 21 assists in 54 games. A few weeks later, while riding a cardio bike at the gym, he recalls saying, quote, "I hate my life, I hate the game, and I can't do this anymore." Fleury walked out of the Hawks practice facility and quit hockey, and he never informed the Blackhawks of his decision. And as it turned out, just days later, he was suspended again by the NHL for violations of his mandated rehab program. And whether he wanted to play or not, the NHL was done with Theo Fleury.
Yeah.
Aimless and despondent, Fleury retreated to the New Mexico desert and went completely off the rails. Theo was in such a dark place that he considered ending his own life. In January 2005, Fleury was seeking some sense of normalcy, so he joined the Horse Lake Thunder of the North Peace Hockey League, a Canadian senior league. He was then convinced by a friend to move to Northern Ireland to play with the Belfast Giants of the Elite Ice Hockey League for the 2005-2006 season, and his arrival was big news in Ireland.
He's a name on everybody's lips, the biggest signing of all time here in Belfast, over 1,000 NHL games. Theo Fleury, we love Theo Fleury.
Theo Fleury, we love Theo Fleury.
Theo scored 22 goals and added 52 assists in 34 games as Belfast won the regular season title. Described as the most talented player to ever play in the United Kingdom, Fleury was named the EIHL's Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's
Fleury's
crazy. He getting his love they
biggest
deserve,
accomplishment
man.
came on September 18, 2005, when he finally became sober. An achievement he credits to his second wife, Jennifer. Fleury was away from hockey until 2009 when, at 41 years old, he hired a personal trainer in an attempt to return to the NHL with a tryout offer from the Flames. He said he wanted to prove to himself that he could still play at the NHL level.
You're 40, mate. He came back. That's hard. Now that's hard. Whip up! That's hard. That's hard.
Fleury played 4 exhibition games and scored 4 points before being released. On September 28, 2009, Fleury officially announced his retirement and thanked the Flames for allowing him to attempt the comeback.
As I left the Saddle Dome on Friday, I knew that this part of my life had finally come to an end. I am officially retiring from playing hockey. So as I say goodbye today, I am at peace. I don't have anything left to prove to myself.
Theo's number 14 has not been worn since he left the Flames, but has also not been officially retired.
Man, retire that.
In the comments below, let us know if you think Theo's not.
Go ahead and tie that. Man, you already know what it is.
Jerome Ginla,
After what he
Joe
been through in his
McGinnis,
life.
and Mike Vernon in the Scotiabank Saddle Dome rafters. Fleury's autobiography, Playing with Fire, was released October 16, 2009, and it created a firestorm across Canada. Theo wrote in excruciating detail about his traumatizing experience with Graham James. Fleury hoped that speaking out might make it easier for other such victims to come with Graham James.
Hold on.
Fleury hoped that speaking out might make it easier for other such victims to come forward and get help. Playing with Fire became the top-selling non-fiction book in Canada. In October 2009, Sheldon Kennedy encouraged Fleury to press charges against James. And in January 2010, Fleury met with Winnipeg police and filed a complaint. James pleaded guilty to charges.
Look at this nigga! Look at it! No, to the high your face, nigga! You weird ass nigga!
Winnipeg police.
You weird ass nigga! You fatality, nigga! What are you talking about? Finish him! Nigga, what's wrong with you, nigga? You word ass nigga. Word. I be going like, what? You weird ass nigga. You should be on the jailhouse for 85,000 years, you nigga. You weird ass nigga. Fuck.
And filed a complaint. James pleaded guilty to charges stemming from his horrific actions with Fleury and his cousin, Todd Holt. James was sentenced to 2 more years in prison. Theo's autobiography was developed into a one-man play.
How, Sway?
Yeah.
Also titled Playing with Fire. And his compelling story was the subject of a 2012 documentary by HBO Canada. Fleury's post-hockey life has been as frantic as one of his typical shifts, with forays into the cement business, season 2 of Skating with the Stars, a second book, a clothing line, and country music.
Everybody's got their circumstance. They hold it tightly in between their hands. Hope and healing too.
Theo is active with many charities and often participates in Flames alumni benefit events. He and ex-Flames forward Colin Patterson were instrumental in creating the nonprofit Breaking Free Foundation,
2 years is
which
crazy,
provides support for survivors of traumatic
that
life
nigga
events.
should have got
In
the
addition
chair.
to his work with charities, Theo is an impactful public speaker, but he may be best known as the high-profile voice of Canadians for Truth, a conservative political organization in Canada. In these roles, Theo has been a skeptic of COVID-19 vaccines and mask mandates and is often critical of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. His controversial opinions on political issues have made Theo a polarizing figure in Canada. As a hockey player, Fleury concluded his career with 455 goals, 633 assists,
points.
1,088 points, and 1,840 penalty minutes in 1,084 NHL games.
He's a Hall of Famer.
He earned a Stanley Cup, an Olympic gold medal, and played in 7 NHL All-Star games. And he was equally productive in the playoffs with 79 points in 77 games, a 1.03 point per game pace that ranks 26th best in NHL history. It's also important to note that the diminutive Fleury played much of his career in the dead puck era, characterized by choking defensive systems, constant unpenalized interference tactics, and low-scoring games. And Theo's durability was also impressive, as he missed relatively few games due to injury, although he absorbed a great deal of physical punishment. Despite his accomplishments, Fleury has been ignored by the Hockey Hall of Fame.
That's crazy.
And based on on-ice achievements alone, he'd appear to be a strong candidate. But many wonder if his complicated and controversial off-ice life will keep Theo on the outside.
I don't get it, bro. He is the victim. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about the situation. That's crazy, bro. I feel bad, bro. That shit is insane, bro. Y'all weird ass grown ass man gotta stop that shit, bro. They gotta start. Nah, let me not say that, bro. Look, man, like, comment, subscribe, bro. Roll to 10K. Y'all already know what's going on. I'm gonna see y'all next one, man. No cap.